Hi guys, this is Daniel from Gardscape Design on another garden adventure. Have you ever noticed the way in which children would actually play with colors and play with the Play-Doh when it is that they're inside, creating all these ideas and thoughts within their head? We as adults love our gardening, and when we come outside, we use different aspects of nature in order to create our own art and our own imaginations. Let's begin. So we are looking at this area here. We are at Regal Garden Landscapers. And we're just taking a look at some of the landscaping that the Who No did, which is my good customer, as a matter of fact. She's with us from day one. From the first time we decided to actually get into bromeliads and ship bromeliads, she has been there with us. All right? So she actually created these garden edgings. So sometimes you would actually purchase these garden edging in shops, but she actually cut the course and she created these own moldings for herself, creating her idea of her comfort. So we have a couple of these bromeliads in the ground. We have the lovely black zombie, which is a reverter roboto minuscule. So sometimes this particular plant could actually reproduce another roboto minuscule. This is another lovely one here as well. Both of them bordering on this small area. We have another roboto minuscule, neo roboto minuscule. Now usually this plant goes up to about 60 centimeters. It's a bit small. We're not going to pull our tape, but it's a very lovely piece as well. Chili con carne, a classic plant, a brilliant neo, which could actually put on some more size. And it's a plant that could take full sun, guys, full sun. This plant here is 2 feet wide. It could get as large as 2.5 feet wide. But if it is, you notice, I'm looking at some of these wood shavings that you would see in the ground. And sometimes most of us would use cocoa chips, cocoa peat, along with the pine wood chips. But I'm seeing wood shavings here. Now, I don't usually use it, but a lot of the time you can get the same results using different methods. So I want Honey to explain her method in using this. Why would she use this as opposed to use wood chips? Honey?
Well, first to begin with, most of us know who are into the bromeliads. They are quite pricey, right? So I started using this just by trying to see what would happen if I use it. And I realized that I do get excellent results because if you think about it, these plants are natural epiphytes. They are found on the tops of trees, right? And they have a lot of, they tend to spread out a lot and root a lot quicker because it's aerated and loose, so they spread a lot of roots faster. Now, that is a pro, but the con is that it sometimes break down. But I have other plants, I have green plants, the aeroid, so I use these every year or so. I would change my soil mix, and I would use back the same stuff that I have there, mixed with other stuff to use as, manure. So it works for me that way too. And then I could test and look at the health of the plant. So it wouldn't be rotten or anything like that, It's development and reusing what you already have there rather than go and buy new soil.
I noticed, Honey, some of these plants are actually not in pots. I noticed that this roboto minuscule is in a pot, but this one is directly into the ground. These are usually epiphytes, and usually their home belongs to trees. But sometimes we could actually put these in pots and we would readapt them for the environment in which they are. The root structure now would be used for different purposes. Sure. In terms of getting nutrients, getting water. So what is your experience with putting these stuff actually directly down in the ground?
Well, I've realized just before Christmas, I put this one in the ground here. And
this one, the black zombie?
Yes, they pop a lot faster because look, I have pop on this one. And even on this one to the edge here, there's a little pop peeping through there. So they get more space, and for some reason or the other, still working on the whole logistics of it. But I realized that they pop a lot faster, they get big a lot faster, they mature faster. Look at this chili.
Chili con carne.
She was much smaller than this, and I put it in the ground and it's growing a whole lot faster. Even the bean over on the other side when we get to that point. Nice. So they do get bigger faster based on experience.
Well, as I said, everyone has their different experiences. Even sometimes we have used some of these in the ground to do landscaping, even varieties, which are usually um, shaded plants or plants that could usually take morning sun in the weather and the climate that we have in Trinidad. But we have used some of these in the landscape directly inside of the ground. But you just need to make sure that it has sufficient drainage. If it is that you're planting it on a slope, fine, and the dirt and the soil must be a bit aerated. Let's take a look over on the side, guys. We have a continuous, neat edging with mondo grass. This is a very lovely grass that you could actually use to edge. A lot of people, including myself, like to use it just on the border. You could use stuff like lyrope grass as well, which is a variegated grass. So we're not talking much about grasses here. We are into bromeliads. This is a lovely alcanteria, a terrestrial. This plant here, it is 3 feet wide. Now, these are the largest types of bromeliads that you would find. Terrestrial meaning that these particular plants do best in the ground, do best in a large pot. They can't do good on trees because they are so heavy. So usually you will find them in the rocky mountainous areas of Brazil or anywhere that they are adapt to. Take a look at this plant as well. This is a small rosette. It is called knockout. It's have an extreme knockout effect, I would say, especially for the collector. It's a plant that a lot of people would try to get, and it's a plant that could take full sun. This area here that you're seeing, all these plants, this is a full sun area, right? So we're gonna look at some of what honey would actually use to get coverage for some of our bromeliads. This tree here is this is an olive tree. So usually the orange tree, these particular branches and stuff, they are very good for shaping and as a topiary. They create a large area that it could provide natural shade. So not all the time some people would like to use shade cloth and unartificial means in getting their plants protected. Sometimes you could use the natural means. Cat's pajamas, nothing like water in the song of a garden. So intriguing, so enriching. Cat's pajamas, a Lisa Vincent plant. This particular plant, it's 50 centimeters wide. It could get to 60 centimeters. Now guys, this plant have a wicked color. It has a very lovely bronze finish that would go straight throughout all the leaves. It's a full sun plant. It don't have the full color here. It takes a very long while to full sun. I noticed honey, but it have some pups on this plant. Two pups, right? So I have, oh, by the way, honey sells plants as well. So if it is you all are in the Princestown area, you all could always drop by, right? We will put our contact number in the comments. Usually what I would realize is for cat's pajamas to get its full color, sometimes the pups would have to be off. I can remember having in the past, and when I take off the full pups, it get its full color. No, sometimes guys, when it is you have particular plants that is going through some level of stress, it may be growing pups or what have you. Sometimes the plant may not reach its full color potential because it's directing some of its energy to the other plants on it. That's a key point to note. This one is Mend. Alvarez. Right, another bullet piece. This plant gets pretty big and you could actually use it as a focal point. Now, we see that it is around this pond here. Not a problem. When it is this plant do decide to kick up some side, you would have to move it. It's a full sun plant. We are always looking at Picasso. Everybody wants a Picasso. It looks something like Castigado. It looks something like Chili con Carne. It even looks like Lorena, which is another beautiful hybrid. But this is a very favorite plant amongst us Trinidadians. Lucifer, 2011 piece. Now this Lucifer has some more size to get. It has some more size to get. It is not a tight rosette as you would see other Lucifers, but because of the length of the leaf, this plant have a little fertilizer in it.
Yes.
Right, I can see that it has a little fertilizer in this particular plant. Expect this to get very wide, up to 2 feet wide, Petra. So there are different types of bromeliads that you would see in folks' garden. The most popular types would be the Acmeas, the Neurogilias. You'll see some Wimbergers, you'll see some Alcanterias, but look at this, focus down. You'll see Dichias. Now these are some very terrestrial sort of bromeliads, some of the oldest bromeliads that you would actually find. You don't see much people have them in their collection, but Honey has them here for us to see. She has them here for us to view and here for us to talk about. They are full sun plants and they do very, very well in arid regions. I always like to be around plants, especially bromeliads. This is our thing, bromeliads, right? Look at this white Johannes. White Johannes. Let me just fix these leaves a bit. The white Johannes is a very intriguing display plant, and it's one that I would always recommend to have in your garden. It gets pretty pink at the edge of the leaves, and it gets broad, very broad and wide. I love this. This is a waterfall. So you could use this as a waterfall, or you could use this to stagger your plants. Look at how she uses lovely showpiece on top. Which one is this?
Sun-kissed.
Sun-kissed, Willis. This plant gets really, really, really big. I think if it is, they still have some growing to do in this spot, but I think that this could easily grow this spot because it's a massive grower. Yeah. And I like how it is she actually uses the waterfall to layer her plants. Again, we see some of the wood chips in this particular area. Straight through the garden, you're going to see not the wood chips, these wood shavings. They're actually cheaper than wood chips. So if it is that you like the work and you don't mind using the wood shavings and then probably change it up within the next couple of months, that's up to you folks. And you'll notice that these plants are in full sun, but they do not have any burns. Honey, what is your technique or what it is that you actually do to ensure that these plants don't get any burns within this area? There's a full sun area.
Well, for me, I have realized that you want to sometimes highlight plants that you really want to put in your garden, a particular place, but because of the sun, it has a tendency of burning and bleaching. So what a little technique that I have used is sometimes, you have branches from your palm trees, because I have a lot of palm trees around with big leaves. So I'll cut the branches and I'll place them on it before I leave on mornings. Right? So in the afternoon, you come back, you won't have the problem, particularly now where we have the crop time and the place is much more drier, much more sun, more intensified sun. So that is my technique really, without having to use a shade cloth to cover the whole area and have the area not looking aesthetically pleasing. So that is my technique and it works pretty well because you could see it maintain the color.
Yeah, we could see,
and here where it missed a little edge of the branch, you could see that it has a little bleaching. So you could see what just putting a branch over it could do,
So basically you're using the pieces of nature to create filtered light, right, and then just moving them afterwards.
Moving it
it's not like a permanent fix.
Right.
Because some days I get some days hotter than some.
Right.
Other days not as hot.
Intense.
Hey, what's the name of this one? This look like terminal.
Terminal red.
Terminal red. Skotak.
Skotak.
Big Skotak plant. Full sun plant. Wow. This is amazing. This is an amazing piece, folks. And look, show the landscape, you would see different parts popping in, you would see cycads, you would see some ground covers. Yeah. These are actually climbing up onto the swing. Nice, lovely. Hey, look, one of my favorites, Strike Force, a 3-foot monster, but it's in the ground now. This particular plant is 2 feet, but it gets very big. It pushes a very vibrant color, a very, very vibrant, intense color. This is one of the particular plants that you probably just would need our glasses to look at it when it is in full stride. It's a very, very, very rich in color, and it actually pops. So some of these hybrids and stuff produce more than the others. This is one of them where you could actually get some returns on in the short term and even in the long run. Some of these hybrids take years to pop, and the reason why sometimes the price would be, some of them because of the variegation. They might be a bit unstable, so it may not be strong. So when it is you get a strong plant, sometimes the price might be a little bit dean. Big, lovely dean. Look at this dean. Right in the middle of this architectural piece. You can see here, Honey actually uses her imagination. And you see, your garden is part of you. It's part of a reflection of you. Your thoughts, how it is you feel, your moods, your expressions. A dean. Very lovely. And the dean is a full sun plant as well. Taking another walk. How long you have these plants? These are minis. that you have strap on here with some moss. How
2
long
years.
this?
2
2
years.
years? Right. So these epiphytes are here for 2 years. 2 years strap onto this tree. So she uses a wire technique in order to actually strap it down onto this. There's a spindle.
Palm.
What type of palm is this?
This is a
Fox.
foxtail palm.
Oh yeah, there's a foxtail palm. Wow. Yeah, so she uses the wire technique to strap. Now, this gives you a very natural look. Other than just having them in the pots and stuff, it gives you the type of feeling and the look that you would experience when it is out in the wild, when it is in the jungle, when it is going into a forest hike and then you look up into the trees and you see some of those bromeliads there. This is the type of feeling that you'll get from this. But you will not see these plants though, because some of these are hybrids and some of these are bred for sale on the international market. This is one of the grass that I was actually talking about. The Lyrope grass that a lot of people like to use for edging as well. It's a bit bigger than the Mondo grass, but it's a plant that you could actually use, a grass that you could actually use in between your plants. It don't have to be bromeliad, but you could actually use it between your bromeliads to create some aesthetic appeal. Malva.
No, this is a Hawaiian.
Oh, this is a Hawaiian bird here.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice it. This one, I remember this one. This one is a cross between a Acmea and a Neo. I can't remember this one. This is a cross between Acmea robotum minuscule and Hohenberger Leopoldo hosti. Tell me if I'm right or tell me if I'm wrong.
It's a hybrid.
It's a hybrid?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, probably I'm wrong then. Good. But this is a very nice plant, purplish color, and it is in a full sun location as well. Dracaenas. And this lovely foliage, variegated ginger. Dragon flame. So in our upcoming shipment, we're going to have a plant called Dragon Flame. This is basically how it looks in Trinidad underneath this particular lighting condition. It gets a lovely pink blush, but with quite a lot of sun. Now, this foxtail palm is actually breaking some of the sun in this area, but with more sun, this particular plant could become unrecognizable because of the magnificent pink color in which it would be pushing. However, as I mentioned before in some of my videos, if it is you don't want your plant to reach the maximum potential color, try getting some filtration for it. So it would put on some of the color against the variegated background, and that probably might please you more than if it is that it reached its full potential. I like this palm, and she continues to use the palms that she has in her yard and place bromeliads on it. Okay, this one is actually in a pot strapped on.
Autumn.
But look, this one is autumn. But I want you all to take a look at this root system. How long you have this plant here?
At least 2 years.
At least 2 years. It has no white roots on it, so it's actually not producing any new roots based on what I'm actually seeing. There's just a clump of dead stuff and it don't have anything really in the cup, cameraman.
No, just don't
really have anything in this cup. This plant just red down here and it's for 2 years. So this is another indication that you do not need roots on your bromeliads for it to thrive. Again, if I take all the roots off of any one of these plants and drop it on the ground in a cool area, what you're going to find is that it's going to survive. It's going to be normal. Right. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months probably. I never tried before. I even locked bromeliads in rooms already and stuff for a couple of weeks and came back out and they find it just turned green. That's all. They just need the light for color. Get them some more color. They will struggle a bit to get back to where they were before, but they're going to get back to where they were before eventually. Willy Wonka, a tropiflora hybrid, a favorite amongst the collectors, and I wish that Honey could actually give me this plant back. Can I have this plant back?
No.
Oh my goodness, why is she like that? Willy Wonka is a very interesting, beautiful plant. It's a tropiflora plant. I think it was Ray Kuhlman or something to that effect. But a collector will never ever part with this pop, and this plant, and they will never ever part with any Willy Wonka pops. Do not ask any collectors for the Willy Wonka. You're cursing them. You're cursing them, and you're rude. Broken Heart, a 2016 piece from Skotak. It has lost a little variegation here, as you can see. Has strong variegation here. It lost a little variegation, but still it's a beautiful plant. It's a 50 centimeter width, 2016 release from Skotak. If any one of you guys have been in any situation and have a broken heart, that is the correct plant for you to keep in your garden. This one, Susanna. Wow. This is a commercial plant, what we would call one of the commercial plants, but it's a full sun plant. We are currently on the eastern side of the building right now. So I think that this area will not get full sun, honey.
Only in the morning.
Only in the morning it will get sunlight. So we are on the eastern side of the building. Depending on your house, let's just say if you have a flat house and stuff, you probably may get some more sun. If it is that the plant's close to which part your house is, you probably will get less sun. If it's a bit further out, you'll get more sun. So some of these things are very, very, you need to be mindful of them. Big Bopper. Another Ray Coolman masterpiece. It should be shifted off of this wall because the leaves are actually touching. It needs to spread. It wants to spread open because it's a 3-foot plant. It could take full sun. So you need to put this in an area that have a lot of sun if it is that you want more red. However, if it is that you like this color, don't give it too much of sun because you probably might be disappointed. This particular plant is Don Vitus. Now, as we were walking through the garden early on and I was speaking to Honey, what she indicated to me is that this plant was not looking as beautiful as it is right now. So there are techniques that you could actually use when it is the plant is not growing like how it's supposed to grow. Sometimes when I purchase a plant, you have it for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months, a year, and they're not doing anything, and you probably might feel stressed, and you probably might feel unhurt, undone. So Honey's going to give you a quick Regal landscaping tip, not a garden scape tip, a Regal landscaping tip as to how it is she get this plant to pop up.
Okay, so based on experience, I have learned, and then hats off to Chester Skotak too as well, I must say. He told me, I was asking him why it is the plant is not growing. What do you think I should do? Right? He told me to remove the underleaves. So, you know, a lot of the plants have the underleaves. Some of them have already died. So remove them and pack it in a small pot, tight to the point where it have no space at all. And that would encourage new growth. And I did this month of June or July, somewhere there, last year. And look, if you look under, you would see this is where the plant was at, the size of the leaves, and all these leaves grew from June or July last year to this time. And you'd realize that the leaves have greatly grown in size. It has gotten a whole lot bigger, and the plant actually starts to grow. And this was a plant that wasn't growing at all for about 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, so it was doing nothing at all. No matter how much you try, you change the soil, you put fertilizer, nothing at all was happening. So I did this technique and it worked, and I'm very happy. And I did it with other plants, and I realized that is something that we could probably use and incorporate in our garden, particularly if you have a plant that is not growing the way that it should, as fast as it should.
You could actually use some of these techniques.
Yes.
Right. So, you know what? I just wanted to walk me straight back to the front here. Straight back to the front. We're just going to walk. And I just want to show you all something here. This is another plant that suffered the same fate. This is a plant that suffered the same fate of stunted growth. The name of this one is Megatron.
Megatron.
Right? So how long you had the Megatron before it actually started to grow after applying that same technique?
First, when it started bringing collectors, that would have been 3 years ago.
Jeez. All right.
And it wasn't growing. And the same time I've done Vitus to grow the same technique. I tried it on Megatron. And look, you could see the underleaves are much smaller. And the leaves at the top are much bigger now.
Smaller leaves, and these are the longer, bigger leaves. With some fertilizer as well.
A little fertilizer, all of that, and pack it in tight in the pot. And it has grown. It could happen.
It could happen. Yeah, that is correct. Because sometimes, and I'm glad that I actually learned that tip, because sometimes I myself could be a bit frustrated. Sometimes having a plant, it's not growing. Sometimes a customer might come and I have a plant. They might say, hey, I want that plant, but between me and you, if it is that the plant is not growing, we're not going to sell you.
Yeah.
So I would probably just leave it like that and just see what it will do. But I will try that tip though. Yeah. Thanks very much. This is Optimus Prime, a small Optimus Prime. It usually gets to 40 centimeters wide, a 2014 piece from the Master Skotak. One of my favorite plants, Megatron and Optimus Prime. a classic combination of color and form in your garden. Make sure and get two of those particular plants. So we have some small collectors here, not ready to actually enter into the main area. This one is Star Wars, a favorite among the collectors in Trinidad.
Yes.
And we have Supercharge, a 2019 piece, which is
Slow
also
grower.
a favorite of mine. It's very slow but sure.
Natural
The color,
grower, but
the
yeah.
form, and the aesthetic beauty on this particular plant, first kotak, is unmatched, second to none. This is another one which is heavy load.
Cool.
You would see that the plant started to do some quilling here. You realize that
Separated.
this, you separated this, right? You realize that these two leaves would have come together here, and she separated them. No, quilling is a very a very disturbing aspect of actually growing some of these bromeliads. You don't see it often at all. I have never gotten a plant that actually performed this. Going to these gardens and stuff, I'm actually seeing this phenomenon happening. So once it is, you remove these leaves, everything would be okay.
And they start to grow nice.
But they started to grow.
Yeah, they started to grow, yeah.
She actually separated this, and these leaves, these three leaves are new growth, and they're actually starting to grow again. They're actually starting to grow again. So this is what we call quilling. These here are Blanchetta.
Blanchette.
Right, Blanchetta,
Yeah.
right. These are Blanchetta orange. They are actually strapped onto the trees.
Blanchettiana, actually.
Blanchettiana orange.
Orange. Orange
Right.
shade.
But they are very much strapped on. How you get this on the tree though? How did you attach this to the tree?
Wire, I use the
You
wire.
use wire as well?
Yeah.
But you remove the wire.
And I removed the wire because they're naturally on there by themselves.
Right, so the roots are actually...
They took root.
So you don't need the support of the wire again. No, one thing to remember for some of these particular bromeliads, we would think that watering our bromeliads is fine and it actually protects them from any sort of burns or damage. But sometimes when it is your one bromeliad to cull up, you need to starve it. You starve it of fertilizer, you starve it of water, and you could actually get more
Desired
vibrancy and color coming out of it at times. Now, Honey is a horticulturist, an educator, and she's also a landscaper. And she's going to talk about hybridization, just to a low extent, or to a small extent. Now, some of these plants take a very long time to come into fruition before we buy them. Some take 10 years, 12 years. It's actually a process, and it's a very tedious process. But she has actually tried on her own to do some hybridizations. So she's going to tell us about some of these particular plants in which she actually tried to hybridize, and she will tell us our experience with it. Honey?
Okay, so this is my second take or try on trying to hybridize plants, right? The first one didn't go too well because they came out, but they had a lot of albo on them. And the fertilizer back then what I was using was not the Osmocote, because you need to use Osmocote on these type of plant, because Osmocote is a slow release fertilizer and it will give the plant the desired fertilizer on its own time, right? If you try to use like something like 20-20-20, it will scorch and burn the plant, instant suicide. Now the process of this is quite simple. You need to have, first to begin with, 2 flowering plants, a male, a female. Well, we look at it as a mother and a father, but 2 to cross, right? So you need to have 2 of them that flowering, and you would take, usually the process happens early in the morning, where you would take probably a Q-tip or so, and take the pollen from one flower to the other, and they would pollinate and develop a new flower, right? A flower pod. And that would last on the tree for anywhere between 3 to 4 months. And when the flower have already spent, all the flowers have spent, they would have like the ring of it, the base of the where the flowers were, they would start to dry out. And you'll pick them out. You'll know which ones take and which one didn't take. The ones that take will be plucked out easily, quite easily. And then you would take those seeds now that you get there and place them in a normal water solution and change the solution every day for 4 days straight, 4 to 5 days straight. And after you get those seeds, you would take those seeds and place them in the same concentrate here. This is a mixture between cocoa peat and Promix, right? And you would put the seeds, and you would see the seeds start to germinate within 3 to 4 weeks or so for the very longest. And then you'll see hundreds of seeds. But just like that, you could end up to like 2 or 3 or 4 because they are it's very time consuming and it takes a lot of time to make sure that they get the right conditions and all of that. But basically after, this is 3 years in the making.
3 years in the making?
3 years.
Wow.
This big.
That is 3 years plan, guys. 3 years.
2 years.
2 years.
Right? We have others on the other side, well, a bigger amount, but just bring these small areas for you to see. So this is a cross between Genie and Genie and Durolf.
Genie and Durolf. So that would probably be a big grow once it's established and it comes to...
These are Durolf and Pink Magic, right? Now, when you have them in this condition here, small as they are, you need to keep them in a moist environment. So typically, if I have them in these pots, I would put a clear plastic bag over them to maintain moisture.
Humidity as well.
And humidity, because you need to keep that humid environment for them to grow.
Nice.
And they are very slow, because look, you could see over the years, right? But this is the Promix that I use. Sorry, the fertilizer that I use. Not much. You just put them near to the plants. But if you have time on your hand, you could try it.
So it's something that you could probably do a video on this this particular process.
Do a video a step-by-step process to see how you actually go about doing it.
So if you guys want to produce some of your own bromeliads and produce some of your own masterpieces, we will do a session on that with Honey.
But trust me, it's not for the faint-hearted. It's a labor constraint. You need to have a lot of time on your hand to be able to go into something like this.
A lot of things could happen in 10 and 12 years.
Yeah, a lot of things could happen. Hence the reason why they are so expensive, people. So those bromeliads are expensive again. You see the long process these hybridizers have to go through to get just to this is, I mean, oh gosh, this is 2 years, this is 3 years.
I'm not going through that. That is a lot. I honestly,
so
that's a lot of work, man.
That's why they have to be expensive like that. And then plus, well, the shipping and all of that is our next story. So
another thing myself.
So expensive again, eh?
Ooh. So we're going to look at some more plants here, guys. Just some more plants here in this area. Nightwish, a 2019 piece from Skotak. This one is a 50 centimeter plant. It would resemble Marmarata. It would resemble Broken Heart. To some extent, it's a Skotak. I have one of those personally. So if I have one of those plants personally, it means something. Ring of Fire. 40 centimeter size, Alisa Vincent plant. This one has some distinct rings going around it. So when it is that this particular plant matures, you're going to be able to enjoy more of the beauty. Silver Bullet, a full sun plant. Honey, you could actually take this plant and put this outside
I had it on top of the fountain there, yeah.
Yeah, this one likes the heat.
It was on top of the fountain.
And this one likes a lot of sun. The garden is a place of comfort. And in this artful place, it is full with glory and grace. This is Daniel from Gardenscape Design. Thank you for watching and join us next week on another episode of My Garden, My Home.